Olaf Scholz visited India for the first time as German chancellor, with a meeting with Indian leader Narendra Modi. Two countries will also build 6 conventional submarines against Russian and Chinese threats. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's visit to India was aimed at strengthening security and defense cooperation amid a host of geopolitical tensions. The visit included a crucial meeting between Scholz and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The pair met several times in 2022, but this trip marks the German Chancellor's first time in the country since taking office. The trip also commences a day after the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The resulting war and its global impact became a top discussion point, and the meeting was expected to emphasize the need for a robust India-Germany and India-European Union partnership to tackle the formidable challenges the world is facing. Additionally, the leaders discussed green technology, economic cooperation, and Indo-Pacific strategy. This is the first standalone visit of a German chancellor to India since the Biennial Intergovernmental Consultation (IGC) mechanism commenced in 2011. Scholz was accompanied by a business delegation that included CEOs of 12 major companies counting Siemens and SAP, as well as heads of Germany's small and medium-sized business associations. Germany also pursued a $5.2 billion deal with India to jointly build 6 conventional submarines during the visit. Germany's ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems is one of 2 international bidders. A foreign submarine manufacturer will have to partner with an Indian company to build the submarines in India. The naval project is the latest attempt by a Western military manufacturing power to wean New Delhi away from its dependence on Russia for military hardware. India is desperate to replace its aging submarine fleet, with 11 of its 16 conventional submarines more than 2 decades old, and as it seeks to counter China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean. The Indian Navy also has 2 indigenous nuclear-powered submarines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government wants India to manufacture more weapons at home in collaboration with foreign partners after decades of being one of the world's largest arms importers. During the visit, Modi and Scholz addressed a business roundtable comprising top industry leaders from both sides. Chancellor Scholz's visit will enable both sides to take stock and progress on the key outcomes of the 6th IGC, strengthen security and defense cooperation, work towards closer economic ties, enhance the opportunity for mobility of talent, and give strategic guidance to ongoing collaboration in science and technology. According to foreign policy experts and diplomats, Germany is India's largest trade partner in the EU and has dependably been among India's top 10 global trade partners. The total bilateral trade between the two countries stood at $24.8 billion during 2021-22. Germany is the 9th largest investor in India, with cumulative foreign direct investment inflows of $13.8 billion from April 2000 to September 2022. Key areas of German investment in India have been transportation, electrical equipment, and metallurgical industries, the services sector, chemicals, construction activity, trading, and automobiles. Trade is clearly a focus of the trip, but that there's another layer to this did not escape the German ambassador to India, Philipp Ackermann. He explained at a press briefing ahead of the trip, "India buying oil from Russia is none of our business. Basically, that's something that the Indian government decides. What we would like to see, of course, is an Indian engagement at some stage." Anil Wadhwa, a former diplomat and strategic analyst, agreed that the trip had mixed goals. The agenda of the Scholz visit will have a bilateral agenda for cooperation on climate change, utilization of German technologies, and the advancement of German interests in India's economy. Experts highlighted the ways in which Germany and India may be looking for assurances on the topic. Anil Wadhwa said, "German interests in economy are badly affected because of the ongoing war. This is placing a heavy strain on the state's exchequer, along with rising costs of fuel and electricity and a cutting down of expenses like holidays and the German way of life." This sentiment was echoed by Mira Shankar, a former Indian envoy to the United States. Shankar maintained that Scholz's visit comes at a difficult time for the world, with the war in Ukraine looking set to intensify. Shankar said, India is likely to urge the need for winding down the conflict in Ukraine through diplomacy and dialogue. This has hit the economies of developing nations particularly hard and carries with it the danger of a larger conflict. India's official position on the Russian invasion of Ukraine is hard to pin down after a decades-long strategic relationship with Moscow. While New Delhi has articulated its position against the Ukraine war more robustly to counter criticism that it is soft on Russia, it has still not openly held Moscow accountable for the invasion. India has also not changed its policy on importing Russian oil and coal. German Foreign and Security Policy Advisor Jens Plotner summed up the challenge that the ongoing conflict may likely have on Scholz's trip. Obviously, as wonderful as our bilateral relations are, they are not evolving in a kind of clean environment, he said during a press briefing. We are embedded in a very messy international situation full of challenges. The Russian war against Ukraine, this is a European war. But it is a war with global repercussions. Scholz's visit will explore the rise of China and its expanding economic, political, and military engagements. There are similar concerns in India that the war in Ukraine is pushing Russia closer to China, which has troubled relations with New Delhi. There is a rethink in the EU, with the US pushing hard for the industry to diversify trade beyond China. Because of human rights issues and the handling of the pandemic, Germany is thinking of reducing the economy's dependence on Beijing for many of its critical goods. Germany can provide more infrastructure and technical expertise to ramp up cooperation in the Indo-Pacific policy. Scholz last met Modi at a June summit of the Group of 7 industrial powers, to which he invited the Indian leader as part of outreach efforts that have become more urgent as concerns grow that China may step up its political support for Russia. While China is one of Germany's most important trading partners, the invasion brought home to many in Germany's business community the lack of diversification in the supply chains on which they rely, lending new urgency to efforts to boost exposure to a huge potential market. Last year, Germany and India agreed on the funding for more than 20 development projects. The funding, including 10% grants and 90% in the form of lines of credit, supports India's efforts in the fields of renewable energy, sustainable urban development and smart cities and sustainable use of natural resources. Also, Scholz announced a support of €10 billion by 2030 under the umbrella of the new Indo-German Partnership for Green and Sustainable Development that he finalized with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The funding of €1 billion for the projects in India is part of this pledge. The lines of credit will be provided by KfW Development Bank with very cheap interest ranging from 2.7% to 3.2% for development projects in states such as Tamil Nadu and Meghalaya.